to find any Bernard Blake material actually in print because he was a little-known figure. He was a local writer.
So it's based on a real book. Mortal Remains is a real book, or?
Based on, yeah, we were unable to actually find a real copy of it, so we had to mock one up. But Bernard Blake was...
And the pictures are not, that's not really Bernard Blake.
Okay.
We had somebody stand in for it.
Yeah, we had
couldn't find it.
playing Bernard Blake. But yeah, he's an enigmatic figure because he only published 8 or 10 books during his lifetime that we know were his because he used a lot of pseudonyms apparently. So he published a lot of other stuff that had false names. He would switch his name around to anagrams. But he went to a vanity press in Baton Rouge, from what I understand, because nobody wanted to publish his stuff. It was so sickening at the time that any reputable publisher said, "What is this garbage?" and they wouldn't touch it. So he had, maybe a couple hundred copies printed, and he passed them out at these parties. They somehow managed to trickle out of Louisiana over the years, and you'd find them now and again at garage sales or estate sales. But yeah, he was a real guy that as far as we can determine. Carl seemed to like his stories a lot.
You guys actually have a relationship with the creator of the Blair Witch Project. Is that Rip?
Yes, we did some time together in prison.
No, we actually, much of the opening of this film is true to script. We did go to high school with him, and we've been fans of his work, and he's been a great supporter of ours. I'm not sure how we can expand much on that relationship, other than that he was a great mentor during this project. So.
Yeah, he was a big help.
So yeah.
And he really did make it big with some movie.
Yeah, some little movie that made a few dollars.
A couple of them.
So, Atticus and the whole story surrounding that.
Yes.
Where did that whole creation come from? What was the whole backstory on that?
The backstory on that was essentially there's always been kind of a legend or a myth or a rumor about a play or a movie that drove the audience insane. And we tried to follow that back to its origin, to its root, and say, did this ever really happen? Was there ever really a screening of a movie that drove the audience nuts? And we thought, well, there was something happened at the Patterson Theater in Baltimore. We couldn't determine exactly what it was or why the audience freaked out, but we took that idea and kind of expanded upon it. And the legend of Carl Atticus now, of course, is well known in the Baltimore area.
If you're from Maryland.
If you're from Maryland.
Yeah, I was just going to add that if you're from Maryland, you've heard of Carl, especially if you work in the film industry at all.
So there is a real Carl Atticus.
Yeah, well, there is the
legend
of Carl. I mean,
right.
you know what I mean? Again, we had somebody play it because we couldn't find any actual photos. What little information we could find, we kind of included.
Kind of like a Jersey Devil type story.
Yeah, very much so.
Exactly.
Very much.
There was a found lead, and there was a,
Right.
Okay.
And there's enough people out there that say, yeah, I remember that playing at the Patterson, but are we talking about the same film, folks?
Right.
That kind of thing. So, anyways, yeah. So if you're from,
So there's a lot of truth.
there is some from what thanks so much, Joe. From what we're able to determine, yeah, that he was this, sort of legendary filmmaker, and so we kind of thought that's why we jumped on it. I mean, again, much of the earlier part of the film where it's like, wow, this is a gold mine. Nobody's ever made a movie about it. Then again, I mean, similar to Blair Witch, I actually thought the legend of the Blair Witch was true. I had to find out from Ed that, yeah, no, we made all that. That didn't exist, and I thought, I swear to God, I read in some book that the Blair Witch actually, you know what I mean, up in Burkittsville.
Well, it's weird because when I was a kid growing up in Maryland, also I was a Boy Scout. We went camping up in the Black Hills, and they said, yeah, the Blair Witch in Burkittsville, and I thought, well, it sounds vaguely familiar. But then there was also near Burkittstown was the Ghost Hill, where you put the car in neutral and it rolls up the hill. That was real. We went and saw that. And so this whole thing about the witch, I thought, my God, that must be real too. And of course, later on, it was like, no, it's completely fabricated. But we had no idea, So it's hard to differentiate sometimes. And that's kind of what we wanted to explore in this, with the line between fact and fiction. Thank you.
When did it come out? And if you buy copies or where you?
That's what we're waiting to see.
We're in talks right now with somebody about a potential remake. They're interested in the product, but they actually want to remake it, and I guess they want more of a commercial you know, looking, as everybody does in the business. And
John
so,
Goodman and Kevin Bacon.
and so we're in negotiations with them right now out in Los Angeles, and we'll see what comes of that. So right now, we're on hold from doing any distribution deal until we figure out what the deal is there. So sorry about that, but you know, you can find us on crypticpictures.com or mortalremainsmovie.com, where we'll continue to keep everybody updated on how to get access.
And also on Facebook. And
Will they have a Kickstarter or anything like that, or?
We tried doing Kickstarters to fund the screenings. My producer here has the idea that we can get a screening in London or a screening in Philadelphia, and you know, by kickstarting the audience with funding the screening by kickstarting money, and it didn't work out because we're appealing to a particular small geographical area. Because somebody in Australia said, "This is great. I'd love to see your movie, but why am I going to buy a ticket to Philadelphia if I can't?" You know, so it made sense. But it seemed like a good idea at the time.
We were basically using Kickstarter as our ticket master.
Okay.
The idea
Didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
Good idea, but...
Yeah, we tried. We gave it a shot.
Any questions, anyone else?
Without giving too much away, what could we expect from Mortal Remains 2?
Oh.
Everything that you didn't see in Mortal Remains.
One.
Yeah, no, I
Gotta
think
give
that's
us a little tidbit.
yeah, probably the best. Wow, we haven't even worked on our pitch for 2, and we're going into principal in
Right.
August.
It depends on whose draft you read, because we're each writing a sequel.
Chris is writing the story that we want to make, and I'm writing the story that we can afford to make. And Sam, we're going to see how we can kind of blend the two. Again, some of what we're doing may be affected by. We're proceeding with part 2 in the idea that perhaps Hollywood will never again be interested if things fall through with our negotiations. On the other hand, we might stop halfway through because they might go, "No, we're buying the franchise." So you know, you never know. But we spent a lot of time trying to spread the word of Carl, and the second film goes along those lines. It kind of, we're trying to. Gosh, I don't know how much we should or shouldn't say. Real quick, it has a lot of horror fans in it, and we'd love to get you in it too.
Am I that scary looking?
So yeah, you'll work just great. But I don't know if we can say much more than that.
Fair enough.
It also features a lot of nubile scream queens, so if you know anybody who's willing to be nubile, no. Yeah, it follows the same form as this one, which we were kind of forced into because originally I had written the thing completely as a documentary about the rise and fall of Carl Atticus, and then it was a fellow at Sony Pictures said, "This is a good idea, but you need something to keep an audience engaged. So come up with another component, and you guys go in search of his movie." Okay, that's interesting, and it ended up being very close to what the original incarnation of Blair Witch was. Was the documentary intercut with the found footage, and we had never done any. I mean, we partnered around in high school with making silly skits, but we never had done any sort of found footage film in any seriousness. So we had to kind of graft these two genres together, and it was like the human centipede kind of. It took a while to get it to work, but I think it finally. Yeah. Anyway, the sequel will be more of that, but I think we kind of have a handle on it now, so hopefully we'll make it work a little better. But this one kind of worked.
Well, after 4 or 5 drafts.
Mark did a lot of editing. He kept most of the movie.
How long did it take?
Too long. Too long. It took almost 4 years because we live in different states. Mark lives in Maryland, I live in Pittsburgh, and he runs 2 other companies too. So he would say, "Well, I got a weekend in March, we can shoot 3 scenes there." And over the course of 3 years, we managed to get it put together bit by bit. It was like making a jigsaw puzzle a piece at a time. Craft pieces that fits what was there.
Anyone else?
Yeah, it's cool.
I have a question for our audience. Oh, did somebody have a question? Sorry. I have a question
For our audience, what made you stay? I noticed nobody got up and left. Anybody could have at any time. And I'm just curious to know, as a filmmaker, what made you stay?
Some people.
Now, so for those of you that know us, are like, "Well, I kind of had to," but there are people here that have no idea who we are. We have no idea who you are. Yes, sir.
I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what to expect walking in, and the mythology that you guys built around Carl Atticus was just engaging to me. I was drawn into that, and I wasn't sure how you guys were going to wrap it up, and I really I mean, despite the frigid temperature,
I'm shaking, actually.
Yeah, I really was determined to see how you guys pulled it all together and how you were gonna wrap it up.
Cool.
Like I said, the mythology that you built was just really good.
Cool, you can congratulate him, he's the one that did all the research on Carl and dragged.
It took a lot of digging.
Anybody else wish to comment on it? Yeah. Yes.
Like him, the mythology, and also when you see the hooded figures in every shot, I was like thinking, oh God, it's gonna end now, they're gonna kick
Any minute now, he's gonna get it.
Oh, it's gonna end, I'm thinking, they're gonna come for them now, they're gonna come out, they're gonna come to this. And so it was just, I was like on the edge of my seat, just looking at it.
Good.
Looking at it.
We'd love to hear that.
Did everybody?
I thought it was great. I didn't know what was made up and what was kind of real, so.
Neither do we anymore.
Yeah, that's what kind of like made it going, you know? Anyone else?
No?
You were gonna say something.
Uh-huh.
You asked what-
Oh, no, yeah, I was gonna ask the audience.
You're talking about all the hooded figures, so I'm curious to know if everybody caught the skull figure in the window. when Chris-
I
Yeah?
was watching all of it first, and I was like waiting for it to come back.
That comes up in conversation with so many people, and they're like, what? And then they have to see the film again, so. And we have that embedded, that actually starts at the very beginning of the film, and if
Dave
you're not
was
paying
the first.
attention, you don't notice it, you get used to it.
He saw, he glimpsed it, he said, are you messing with me? He rewind it, and he saw, he thought it was a reflection of the skull on my shirt.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for,
appreciate it.
and hopefully you enjoyed it.